Music and Sound Drill class was brought to you by Musicians Playlist, building a professional music community with passion and performance.
All right, are we good to go? How about let me know if you can hear me? Are your guys ready? All right, guys, you're welcome to Music and Sound Drill 2.0. Um, Sorry for the delay. I think you guys are having some technical issue from your own side, so it's been a very long day. So okay, I think we should just go straight to the point. The time is our time is far spent. How about you are happy now? I can see. So good evening everybody. Good evening Enugu. Good evening Nigeria. Good evening. So you're welcome. Thank you for joining me. I had wished to be with you guys there in Enugu. It would have been very nice. At least I'll make new friends, see your faces, shake your hands and stuff. But nevertheless, we are here. So we're going to be very fast about it because of time. So, and when I joined on Facebook, I overheard the first person that spoke, and he spoke very well, and he has already done a whole lot. And I believe most of the people, almost everybody in this gathering today are professionals. So I don't need to dwell more on the talent, because the problem we have in Nigeria is not the lack of talent. We have a whole lot of talented people everywhere. When it comes to talent, we have so many talents in Nigeria. We've never lacked talent in Nigeria. But our problem is for the inability for the talents to understand the business of their talents. That is why we have a whole lot of frustrated, talented people all over Africa and Nigeria. So, me as a musician, as a music producer, as a music businessman, my major concern, my interest is in the business of the talent. Because the problem we have, we no longer have talent problem. What we have is um, talents that lack the basic knowledge of the business. So, and a lot of talents get stuck at that point. Their inability to be able to transit from being good musicians, being good talent, to running a profitable venture. A lot of people, a lot of musicians in Nigeria are stuck at that point. So to me, my belief is, I don't care to know how many chords you play. I don't care to know how tight, how good you are. If you cannot convert those talents to money, is useless. So can you hear me? Jubal said you can't hear anything. Wells, can you hear me? Okay, Jubal, Albert, can you hear me? Okay, if you can hear me, we are good to go. Jubal, maybe you can log out and and log in again. So I'm not interested in how good you are or how well you can play the guitar, the keyboard, or how well you can sing. If you cannot be able to, if you cannot, if that talent cannot transcend into money, into tangible value that you generate money, to me is useless. So, and that has been the problem right from the time we were young. You know, we, most of us joined music, most of us started doing music as passion. We are passionate about it, and every good musician is a passionate person. Passion is good, but an untimed version passion is very dangerous. You find out that a whole lot of talented people, they focus their energy on getting better, outdoing themselves, outdoing every other person, becoming better, becoming the best, without knowing when to pause and ask for money, when to pause and monetize what they do, when to pause and demand for value in exchange of the value they bring to the table. So that is my interest. So just like the Bible says that you see kings are riding on horses, are going on barefoot, while slaves are riding on horses. That is the typical example of what has been happening in the music, Nigerian music industry and entertainment as a whole. You see the people who have talents that have the capacity to change the world. They see them broke, see them not being able to pay their bills. Most of them that you hear their name, whenever they fall sick, you see them coming online to crowdfund for money. Meanwhile, these people, they have produced value that touched millions of lives. So you find out that the problem is the inability to transcend from the point of being talented to the point of making the talent profitable. Um, According to the statistics that Google released recently, they said that in 2018 that technology helped Nigeria, social media technology helped Nigerian musicians and entertainers to generate over $4.5 billion in 2018. Then 4 years down the line, they are projecting that by next year, by 2023, that the Nigerian creative industry, through the help of internet and tools, will be able to generate over $10 billion. So that is the market cap of the industry that you're in. And the funniest part of it is that the people who are making money, the people who are going to benefit from what do you call it, from the bulk of the money, most of them are not musicians. They are just professionals, other professionals down the music and entertainment value chain. Most of them don't even know where the key C is on the keyboard. They don't even know the key F. They don't even know when what is modulation. So you find out that most musicians focus their energy on knowing all the chords in the world, all the pentatonic scales and everything. Meanwhile, the people who are doing the business are making the bulk of the money. Just like what the Bible says. The Bible says that the labor of a foolish man weareth him, because he does not know the way to the city. The city there connotes knowledge. The city connotes business techniques, ideas. So if you can be laboring, you can be working very hard, you can know all the skills, but if those skills cannot bring physical results, then your labor is a labor of a fool, because you does not know the way, you don't know the way to the city. So that is the point where musicians in Nigeria are. Like I always tell people that one, after giving your life to Christ, for Christians, and marrying a good wife, the next, as in the best thing that can happen to you is to know how to sell. Because life is all about sales. Life is all about marketing. Life is all about knowing how to communicate. Some people tell you, I know they do that social media thing. No, I know I'm a very shy person. If you're a shy person, it will be difficult for you to succeed in this industry, because talent, in the grand scheme of things, talent contributes to less than 25% of the overall thing. So talent is just like 25%. That is why we have a lot of talented people all over the place. So once you have the talent, the next thing you should be looking at is how to market your talent. So you should be able to know how to sell the talents that you have, because it is the talent that you bring to the marketplace that will pay you. Like people normally say, like gospel musicians, they will say that the Bible said that the gift of a man maketh way for him and bring him to. That is the truth. That is the number one. It is not only the gift of a man, it is the gift of a man which he brings to the marketplace that will make way for you. Not until you bring your gift to the marketplace, you will not, your way will not be made. Do you understand? So having a talent is one thing. Marketing your talent, bringing your talent to the spotlight where people can see it, is another thing. So I find it funny when I see talented people. They tell you, I can do this, I can do. It is only you that knows that you can do this. Not until you come out and say, I can do A, B, C, D, and do it. Not just saying that you can do it. Let people see you doing it. So you find out it's very ridiculous when I hear talented people say, I'm not a social media person. No. Don, that thing we not they do self. I'm an introvert. Hunger go kill you. And that is the reason you've not been able to get the desirable result. The Nigerian music industry is growing. As a matter of fact, is the number one in the world right now. So according to Google's projection, they said by next year the market cap should be around $10 billion. So this is a whole lot of money, and this money is going to be made by people who bring value, people who are visible. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of days ago. I told him that, do you know that most of the musicians that are being, most of the Nigerian musicians that are being heard abroad are not the best. They are the most visible. They are the most heard. So to the international community, those people they are seeing there are the best that Nigeria can produce. So not until you come out, people will not be able to know that Nigeria can do more than what they are doing right now. And can I shock you? By next year, by the time endorsements start coming, by the time companies and organizations start coming to Africa, start coming to Nigeria, because Nigeria is one of the biggest music markets in the world right now, and by implication, there is going to be a whole lot of influx of investors, businesses. They are going to ask, who is the most visible artist on Instagram? Who is the most visible artist on Twitter? Who is the most visible? Who is the most popular? By the time you put your name in Google, what does the analytics show? What comes out? Because these are the people that they will use to sell products. Because I tell people that music in itself will not make you rich, in quotes, because music is a tool by which product are by which you sell product. Music is a tool that they use in marketing and influencing of culture. For instance, let's say that what do you call it? That Samsung wants to take over the Nigerian market. Or let's say they want to sell 200 million phones. Who is the right person that can be able to influence this particular task? So that is the reason you need to be visible. Their talent is not for you and for you alone. So I'm going to talk on a topic that says that revolves around exposing artists to the rudiments of 21st century music trends. So the truth is that the trends are not constant. They change even as we are talking to you now, the things are changing. The marketing strategy that worked in 2020 might not work today. The work that worked in 2022 will not work next. Even the one that worked last month might not work. We remember those days earlier last year and this year when people want to influence a music, they engage in what do you call it, investors. They do giveaways and stuff. Now you do give away all you like. People no send you. So it's very, very dynamic. So for you to be relevant in 21st century, you don't need to sleep. You need to wake up. You need to be in the industry to know what exactly is happening. So having said that, I would also like you to understand that people don't pay for talent. People pay for skills. People pay for skills. People don't pay for talent. There are a lot of talented people all over Lagos, all over Port Harcourt, Enugu, Jos. Go to Jos. Jos, you will see artists that are very, very talented than most of the ones we have in Lagos. So, but people don't pay for talent. For you to be able to, make a living, be able to break even in the music industry, you should be able to transcend from the point of talent to the point of skill. Companies, organizations, brands pay for skills. They pay skills. They don't pay talent. So a lot of people, most of the problem most artists they have is their ability to move from the point of talent to skill. So skill is a refined talent. And you should also understand that organizations don't pay you in isolation. They will not just wake up and pay you 10 million naira. They have to perceive you as a power base. They need to perceive you as a brand. So that is why we're going to lay emphasis. We're going to talk about branding. A lot of artists are talented, but they have not been able to move their talents from the point of being a talent to the point of being a brand. So for you to be a brand, there are certain things that you need to do. You need to build a structure. You need to build serious business structure around what you do. So you should stop seeing at that point, you stop seeing yourself as potential and now start seeing yourself as business. The difference between the likes of Davido, Burna, Wizkid, and the rest of them is that they have been able to move from the point of being a talent to the point of being skillful, and after you've gotten to the point of skills, you should now be able to transcend to becoming a brand. So that is why you see most artists, they after one or two hits and noise, you will not hear them again because they fail to move from point A to point B and point C. So branding is a very big topic. I if I start talking about what branding entails, we might not go today. So branding makes a whole lot of difference. At the point of being a brand, that is when you be able to put the right business structure around your skills. Do you understand? At times you hear certain what do you call it? Some artists, you hear that they are booked for an event, and at the end of the day, they refuse to show up. It's part of branding. They lack credibility because if you are a brand, you understand that for every action there is a consequence. So you should be able to understand that people don't pay for talent. People don't only pay, people pay skills. But if you want to do a kill in the industry, you have to move from talent to skill and from skill to becoming a brand. The likes of Davido is as good as every other brand. They see themselves as MTN, as banks. They have the same structure, the same business structure. You have the management team, you have the executive, you have the directors, you have what do you call it? Security, you have the legal team, and most musicians have is that they 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 get stuck at the point of talent and skill. So one thing you have to do, I don't know the point where you are in your journey, but for you to embark on this journey, I will advise that you assume that you don't know anything. Drop everything that you know and start building from the scratch. Start building from the scratch. Like I have about like 15 things that you need to do, but I'm just going to touch them briefly one after the other, then so that we can be able to move to other things. So for you to be able to market music effectively in 2022, you should be able to build your brand foundation. That is the number one. You should be able to build your brand foundation. Because the reason I don't want to talk about talent at this point is because virtually everybody that is seated in this hall is talented. So almost every musician, almost every entertainer, almost every what do you call it, is talented. So, but talent is not enough. So you should be able to build your brand, your brand foundation. Because if you're serious about getting your music heard and growing your fan base, like as I said, music marketing is not an option. It is a necessity. You must, as a matter of fact, know how to, do you understand, how to sell. So what people don't know is that great marketing is about excitement, is about storytelling, is about building traction over time. Do you understand? Because the internet is a very busy place. The digital world is the biggest and the noisiest. At this point now, the competition is very, very stiff. So for you to stand out, you need to brand very, very well. You need to have a very strong brand foundation. The problem is that most artists focus on making great music, but they ignore the most important part of the business, which is promotion, music marketing. So the first thing that you have to do is to build your brand foundation. Because for you to be able to stand out, people should be able to perceive you. People should be able to see you as a brand. Because people are attracted to power. You know, power does not flow from here. Power flows from up, down. So for you to be able to influence, you should be able to be here, or you should be able, people should be able to perceive you as a powerful person, as a powerful brand. So the foundation of building a strong brand in music is who you are and what you stand for as an artist. You have to think about your audience and how will you connect with them. So at that point, we now get to the to brand identity. So the problem most artists have is that their branding is very poor. Do you understand? Their branding is very poor, because people should be able, you should be able to be consistent with your branding. So if you look at companies like MTN, once they mention MTN, what comes to your mind is yellow. So everything about MTN is yellow. So you cannot, for instance, if you're a contractor and MTN asks you to work for them, you cannot use a green color to do the work. So that is to tell you that their brand is consistent. So you have to be consistent with your brand. So brand identity, you have to have a brand identity. So brand identity is the collection of all elements that a company creates to portray the right image to its consumer. So brand identity, you have to pay attention to brand identity. Brand identity is the collection of all elements that a company creates to portray the right image to its consumer. So first of all, you have to ask yourself, you have to identify who you are. For instance, if you're a reggae artist, you have no business wearing suit and tie. Do you understand? You have no business appearing like a sweet boy. So because reggae is not that type of music. So somehow in your branding, people should be able to know that you're a reggae artist. So branding even goes down to your name. Most of you answer very complicated names. You see this person is answering La Bridge de Bruce the Killer. So how do you want somebody to even mention that name? Do you understand? The acronym is KISS. KISS. Keep it short and simple. So your name should be able to, be very short and simple, so that people can be able to pronounce it. So when they even see your name on the internet, when you hear things like Davido, Timaya, Burna Boy, so your name shouldn't even exceed more than highest 3 syllables. So you see somebody is be answering I'm a rock the shooter killer. So how people are very busy, nobody get that kind of time to begin to look for your name. So your brand should be very attractive. Your name should be short and simple. You hear a name like Don Jazzy, Donseth, D-Tunes, Burna, Timaya. It's very simple. So you should be able to deal with brand identity, and you should, at that point, you should even be able to decide on the type of music you want to do, because that is what will determine what your branding will look like. So once you've been able to sort those things, you will now come to the physical elements, which has to do with costumes, the type of hair you make. For instance, if you come to the gospel industry, you see people like Chioma Jesus. So once you see Chioma Jesus, what comes to your mind? You see her hair gear. If you see somebody like Messi Chinwo, you always see her on her beret. That is part of her brand identity. It's part of branding. You can never see Messi without beret. So, and people did not identify with her. People were able to identify with her because she has been consistent with that particular, what do you call it, branding. There's every probability or possibility that Messi in her house, she put on maybe bomb shorts or jeans or stuff. But when it comes to the business, you must see her on beret. So most of you, you're still trying to build your brand. Today you're on low cut, tomorrow you're on dread, next tomorrow you spray hair, next tomorrow you're on skin, next tomorrow you're tying bandana. So stay one place, you're confusing your audience. You should be consistent with your branding. Even as a musician, you should see yourself as MTN. You should see yourself as bank. You should be able to see yourself as a company. You should have a color. So it's part of branding. Then when it comes to your social media, your name should be short and simple. So you see some people in their names on social media, you see underscore, apostrophe, this one, colon, and a hash. And all you are stressing people. You're stressing people. And your branding you should be consistent across board. If it is Donseth, let it be Donseth on Facebook, Donseth on Instagram, Donseth on Twitter, Donseth on LinkedIn, Donseth on YouTube. For years, Davido was, negotiating with some group of guys. Before he came to limelight, somebody was answering Davido. He spent serious money, to get those guys to give him that handle on Instagram, because these people, they understand the power of branding. So even right now that you've not, come to limelight, you should be able to research on your name. Go to Spotify, go to Apple Music, go on Google, find out if somebody is answering maybe John the Killer. It will shock you that if you go on Spotify and type John the Destroyer, you see 20,000 of the people answering that name. You even see a verified account. So at that point, you've already started having problems. So now that you're not on the spotlight, your name is very, very critical, because once you hit the limelight, it will be very difficult for you to change your name. Let me just give you an example. Somebody like Buju, somebody like Two-Face, as big as Two-Face is, people are still finding it difficult to call him Two Baba. So people, psychologically, you think Two Baba is just a guy name. Two-Face is the man name. Something in your mind tells you that this is Two-Face. Somebody like Nigaro, we still call him Nigaro till next tomorrow. So Mr. Raw sounds awkward. See Buju, is still Buju till next. If you like, answer Benson. In people's mind, they still know you. They still know him as Buju. So it is Buju that we met, and that is, you not just wake up in the morning and tell us your name is Benson. It will take time. It will take money. It will take a whole lot of social re-engineering. It will take a whole lot of work. So it is not a situation, it's not a position where you want to put yourself. So you should be able to deal with the issue of name. Go on Google, find out if this particular name that you answer, find out how many persons are there, people are there, verified accounts. So once you deal with the brand identity, the next thing is brand equity. You need to start building equity, because that is what people pay for. So you should understand that your promotion, your everything that you're doing gears towards increasing your brand equity. Everything goes towards increasing your brand equity. So because it is brand equity deals with perception. They said that brand equity is the commercial value that derives from consumer perception of the brand name of a particular product or service, rather than the product or service itself. Do you understand? So most people they mistake what do you call it, equity to the product itself. So brand equity is all about perception. It's all about perception. It's all about what comes to the feelings that people have when your name is mentioned. The difference between Burna Boy and Portable is equity, is brand equity. So you have to settle this particular issue early as a brand. So because if you don't treat your career as a brand, you will not have vision, you will not have mission statement, you will not have goals. So as a musician, you should be able to have your mission statement clearly stated. You should be able to have your vision. You should be able to have goals and said, okay, this is my short-term goal. This is my long-term goal. This is what we want to achieve in the first 2 years. This is what we want to achieve in the next 3 years. So it is even your vision that brings you into market segmentation. In marketing, there is what we call market segmentation. You should be able to segment your market. That is why most of you, if they give you 100 million, you go to Lagos and blow it and come back, because your market is not properly segmented. So we'll get to that point. Let me not deviate. Let's deal with brand equity. So brand equity is the commercial value. Mark the word commercial. Is the commercial value that derives from a consumer perception of the brand. People, like as I said before, people, customers, investors, companies, they don't pay you in isolation. You don't just wake up and say, give me 20 million. They will give you 20 million. Lie. People don't pay you for the service or the product. They pay for perception. That is why people are spending millions of naira on what do you call it, stream farm, so that their song will be on Apple Music #1, Spotify #1, so that people will perceive them as powerful. So first of all, you have to sit down and ask yourself, what type of musician do I want to be? So that is the point where the vision comes in. You can say, okay, and you should be able to do what we call SWOT analysis, your strength, your weakness, and run a SWOT analysis on yourself. You cannot do everything. You can decide to say, okay, my brand, my strength is R&B. I do R&B. That there's something they call area of core competence. So that brings us to also, as you're growing, by the time you move from being a talent to a brand, from being a talent, moving your talent to skill. At the point of being a skillful person, that is what we call specialization. For instance, you play the drum, you play the keyboard, you play the guitar, you play the sax, you write song, you're a rapper, you're this. It is allowed at the point of being a talent, at the point when you are a talent. But when you are getting ready for commercialization, you need to scale down. You need to niche down. You need to have a niche. You can say, okay, my brand is Africa's best R&B pop singer. So it will affect every other thing. It will even help you to segment your market. It will even help your marketing. It will even help the type of producer you hire, the type of PR person, even the language, the how you write, how you dress. All these things are still part of branding. So even when you want to hire a professional, let's say a manager or maybe a PR person or an AR person, because your vision is clear, the person, you make the job easier for the person, and it will help you to travel faster. So you should be able to sit down and say, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? So for instance, if you want to be the best rapper in Africa, there are some producers that have no business working with you. So the reason a lot of you are confused is that because you've not been able to move from this point to this point. So by the time you get to this point, you've been able to define, this is who I am. This is what my brand is. At this point now, you now start building the brand equity. Like as I said, brand equity is the commercial value that derives from consumer perception of the brand, of the brand name of a particular product or service, rather than the product itself, the product or service itself. This is where the whole magic takes place. This is why maybe you want to do an event. Somebody mentions Timaya, you say no. It's because of the perception, what you know, what you feel, the feeling that Timaya brings. Okay, imagine, for instance, let's say your company is organizing a end of year party where the investors, the managers, the directors, the management team, everybody, they're going to be. Now they want a musician. So imagine you as an event organizer recommending Portable. So if you're in that meeting, if they mention Portable, what comes to your mind? Or they mention Naira Marley. It's not as if these people are not good. They are good in their area or specialized. They are great talent. But this is where brand equity, the perception people have, the feeling. Equity is the feeling that people have when your name is mentioned. So as a fast rising artist, you should be able to settle these things early. The reason people spend so much time trying to break even is because they have not settled these things, and you just see yourself having a problem, but you don't know what your problem is. So at the point of being a skill, transcending from skill to what do you call it, to being a brand, at this point you need a team. You need a very good team. You need an artist manager, you need the legal people, you need branding experts, so if you're lucky to have a manager that knows a little bit of everything, a grounded person, if you are able to have such a person, is a plus for you. So one of the things you need to deal with is the brand equity. You need to build a strong equity, and brand equity has 4 dimensions. We have brand loyalty, we have brand awareness, we have brand association, we have the perceived quality. Then the same brand equity has about 7 elements, key elements, which is awareness, reputation, differentiation, energy, relevance, loyalty, flexibility. So I cannot, time will not permit me to go into these things. But even if this is the only thing that you take away from this gathering today, most of you, this is the where the magic is. So by the time you've been able to build a strong brand equity, you will now move into marketing. So being able to deal with equity will now help you to even market well. It now brings you to the what do you call it, to the point where you now start asking the relevant questions, like, who are my audience? Where are they? What is the age bracket? What is their purchasing power? What are their interests? How do I reach them? What are the best promotional channel to use to reach them? What is the most cost-effective channel to reach them? Then what is the market size? Market size is very, 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 very critical in marketing. Then that brings you to budget. So for instance, let's say you're a gospel music rapper, and no disrespect, your audience where you sell your product is in Catholic church or Anglican church, you need no prophet to tell you that even in 5 years time you'll not be able to break even. So audience is very, very important. Okay, let's say you're a hip-hop artist, and where you sell your product is in the sub area, maybe where people, the age brackets, majority of the people that lives there are within the age of 60, 65, 70. You find out that over time you get frustrated. So you need to define who your audience is. So you need to deal with it. Then don't forget, like, I will dwell on market size. So if you want to make music, let's say you want to make music for mature people 65, 70, 55, and all the rest of them, you should be able to understand what is the population of these people. So right now, you now ask yourself, who are the people who have the purchasing power to buy music? Of course, it's the Gen Z. They have free money. They don't have family problem. They don't have target at work. They are not working class. Their bosses are not giving them targets. This is business. Music is business. You don't have to be emotional about it. So when it comes to market size, you should know that the majority of the where the market is among the Gen Z and partly the millennials. These are the people who still have the purchasing power. So it will even affect the type of music that you make. So you should be able to know these things. By the time you're done with it, you now talk about budget. So what is my budget? Okay, when you look at your budget, you now say, okay, what can this budget do for me? That is the point where you need to segment, do market segmentation. Let's say your budget is 3 million and you want to take over Nigeria. You and I know that is almost impossible. So you need to say, okay, within the first 3 years, within the first 6 months, we should be able to conquer Surulere, or we should be able to conquer Ikeja and Mile 2. So that brings you to the point where you ask, who are influential people there? Who are the DJs there? Who are the TikTokers there? Who are the club owners? Who are the hype men? That brings us to collaboration. So in setting your marketing goals, your goals should be measurable. You should have systems that measure what you're doing, so that you'll be able to know when you've hit your goal. So after the 3 months, you now say, okay, by the time you look at what you've done, you can now say, okay, let's extend it to um, Lagos Island. Let's take it to Lekki, Ajah, Ekpe, Axis. By the time you're done with that, you can move to Ogun State. Because as a fast rising artist, you don't have all the money in the world. So you have to maximize the resources that you have. So, like it's said that excellence is not extravagance. Excellence is the ability to maximize the available resources to achieve desirable results. So by the time you're done with that, you now start moving it, one step at a time. Within 1 year, you now sit down and check what you've done. By the time you're done, you now set new goals. So from there, you say, okay, my plan, my vision is in the next 5 years, I should be able to achieve A, B, C, D, or have so number of audience on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as active audience. So you find out that what you're doing is measurable. Unlike when you wake up and said, okay, I want 10 million people. Is an unrealistic goal. So in marketing, you should be able to set realistic goals and now engage in activities that will be able to bring, the right people. So that is that. And that brings us to, by the time you're done that, you now start monetizing your music. You don't just give away your music, you start putting your music in places where it will be monetized, so that those money, those investments, and everything that you're putting in you should be able to recoup your investment. Time will not permit me to go into the legal aspect of it, how to make sure that you secure your brand, how to make sure that you secure your investment, your copyright, and all the rest of them. Maybe subsequently, I will do a comprehensive video where I will talk about these things, because it is very, very important. If you miss any of this, especially the legal aspect of the business, you might end the whole of your career, use your career to fight unnecessary war. My time is already up, so subsequently I will do a video, a comprehensive video that will really explain, because this is not a 1 hour or 2 hours discussion. So thank you for coming. Remember what I've said about brand equity. I've said a whole lot of things. You can go over it again. If you have any questions, you can send me a DM on Donseth Beatz, or send me an email at donsethbeatofficial@gmail.com, or donsethbeat@mayvibe.com. So thank you for coming. At this to leave. So you can send me your questions and any other thing you want me to to talk about. Thank you. God bless you.